How's it going, wrestling fans? Remember us? It's been a minute, but we are back. Wrestle Report Live, episode 25, here to finally review WrestleMania week with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
And I'm Don.
I just did a rhyme on accident. I guess I'm not as rusty as I thought, but WrestleMania week got the best of us. There was a lot of – it definitely got the best of me. I can't speak for Don, but between everything there was to watch, and we both cover like various sporting events, and we were working opposite days, so whenever I was home to do the show – Don was working a game, and when Don was home ready to do the show, I was working a game. So shit was just working against us, our bad. But we're here now, and we got NXT TakeOver to talk about. We got WrestleMania, both nights to talk about, and obviously NXT is on at the same time. Don's got that on, and if anything big pops up, we'll jump onto that. And we also got to talk about AEW's big ratings number and the newest addition to the SmackDown announce team. So there's definitely a lot to go on, but this is really the first year ever that we've had. Usually talk about WrestleMania like WrestleMania week, or WrestleMania weekend, but this was a true WrestleMania week, and we talked about how fun it was going to be. And I don't know about you, but I got a little wrestled out by the end of it. There was, if there was ever such a thing as too much wrestling on in a week, I think we found.
Yeah, by night two, that's what I was like. Okay, we see it every day of the week.
Yeah,
I mean Tuesday was the Hall of Fame, but
yeah,
still, you
something
see
was
it
on.
yeah.
And really, NXT, and we can jump into this now, like NXT TakeOver was so good, as you'd expect, that even after those two nights, I'm like, damn, that was the appetizer. Like, you ever get an appetizer that's so big, and you're like, damn, I got a meal I got to eat after this. And, like, that's definitely how it felt. So before we get into the more, like, and I'll be honest now, I've already forgotten what's on night one and night two, so I'm going to be jumping around for this, but we know about the big matches from TakeOver, and we'll get into those. But to me, the match that stole the show, and my definition of that is a match you thought was going to be okay that ended up being great, was the Cruiserweight Championship ladder match. I thought was fantastic. And, like, you know, it had talented guys in it and everything, so I knew it wasn't going to be, like, bad or anything. But this match really blew me away. Like, it's been a while since a lot of ladder matches we get in WWE these days, and really anywhere, are, like, multi-man ladder matches now. That's kind of, you know, Money in the Bank, you know, just even other situations with the North American title and stuff. It's been a while since we've got a really good 1v1 ladder match. And it brings you back to like the Michaels Ramon days. And this was like the art of a ladder match being a one-on-one match is kind of lost these days. And these dudes brought it back. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great match, man. The psychology of the match was heavy hitters, man. Jordan Devlin and Santos tore it down. That was I felt like that was a underrated match at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
it's like the definition of a sleeper to me.
Yeah.
Like, it really just, you expect it to be here, and it was here. And in any other takeover, it'd be remembered a lot more. Clearly, there was a lot of great stuff on this. It's going to kind of get swept under the rug, unfortunately. So I wanted to give the props for that match now, because it was definitely, like I said, any other takeover, I think it would have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then just to give a quick, you know, carryover to that title, the next week on NXT, Kushida won the championship, and that's something that I've been clamoring for. Like, he did end up losing it at TakeOver. You know, they had a great match. Who was it? I'm drawing a blank. Who did Kushida put somebody over? Damn, we are rusty. Not Finn, but damn. All right, we'll get back to that. But anyway, he loses on TakeOver, and then he wins at he wins the title the next week on Raw, not Raw, on NXT. And I was saying I like the idea of Kushida being Cruiserweight champion. He's obviously been a former IWGP Junior Heavyweight champion many times. So just to carry over, it's kind of crazy that the Phantasmo puts on this great match to unify the titles and then loses the belt like the next week. That was a little strange when you think of it long-term booking like that. But I'm excited to see him as champion. As I said, he's not getting any younger, so I'd like to see him have a lot of great feuds over the Cruiserweight title while he's still around.
No, yeah. I was thinking the same thing, bro. Like, I was surprised about that, but I was happy because I love Kushida. Kushida is one of my favorite wrestlers in NXT. So, like, I was really happy for him. It was just shocking that happened, but it just means probably bigger and better things for Santos because I feel like he can hang with the big dogs. He hung with Karrion.
Yeah, that is true. I'm still trying to find who Kushida. Pete Dunne, of course, it was Pete Dunne. I should have been able to think of that. But yeah, and really both of these guys have that situation. And what does this mean for Jordan Devlin now too? They had the trouble of bringing him all the way here. I assume he's going to stay on the American NXT now for a while. Um, but no, I'm excited to see what Kushida can bring to that title. And just a great ladder match. It's been such a long time since we've had a one-on-one ladder match like that. And the psychology is just completely different from the multi-man. And it really, obviously, it's an updated version, but like it brought you back to like Eddie Guerrero, RVD, and Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, and like it's just a completely different vibe when it's a one-on-one ladder match. And it was refreshing to see. It was not the thing I think I was gonna write home about, but I ended up I literally wrote down, and I'm at home, so I wrote home about that match. I thought it was fantastic. So again, that one's gonna get swept under the rug, which is a little unfortunate. But we can jump into some of these bigger matches. Walter and Ciampa was everything I expected it to be. We kind of got to the bottom of it that we assumed that Walter would retain the title. It would have been cool for Ciampa to win, even for a short time, but if I can nitpick here, and that's all you can do because this match was every bit of hard hitting as you expect, is if you looked at like technically like what ended this match was a chop. Like he hit him with that power bomb and he sat up and then he chopped him down and he pinned him, and that was kind of a strange thing at the end there. Just the way the match finished that way, but other than that, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, but I was actually happy because that's what usually ended the matches back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Was like the mean chops.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't mad at it. It was just I thought it was hilarious to me, and it seemed like it hurt.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. It wasn't like a missed chop or anything, but it was like when you think back, it's like he hit him with, I don't remember if it was like a power bomb or some sort of like big backbreaker move, but like if you'd have pinned him after that, it would have made sense too. It was almost like adding insult to injury. Just like bam, let me smack you down, and then So like I bet if I went back and watched it, it wouldn't bother me as much as it does now, which still isn't that much, but it was so different than what you're used to seeing. Yeah. So I was just like, oh wait, okay, technically a chop did him in, when you really think about it. But no, this was great, and I don't know what else you do with Walter because eventually you got to leave him over here and you got to give him a run. I don't know against who necessarily, but like there comes a time where he's done everything he can do in the role they have him in, and but this was a perfect reason to bring him over. Is something like facing Tommaso, but like I don't know who. There's plenty of other guys that I'd like to see him against. NXT and the main roster. I hope by WrestleMania next year, I hope they found a way to give him a big money match on like a WrestleMania card because like I don't know how old Walter is. He's not the youngest dude out there, I don't think. So I'd like to see him get his his big match against a part of me wants to say Brock Lesnar, but I don't know. The work rate is not there on Lesnar anymore to keep up with Walter. I don't think so. That would only make Lesnar look bad unless he actually showed up ready to work, which we know he doesn't really do much anymore. But yeah, anyone leave a comment later. Who would you want to see Walter face on a big like WWE pay per view, whether it be SummerSlam or anything else? Let us know in the comments. But no, this was every little bit that you expected a hard hitting match from these guys.
Oh man, it was great. I loved it. That was my match of the both nights at the end of the day.
For me, so I'll do this sort of in the order that that it happened. Normally the NXT Championship match should go on last. I understand why it didn't. This match was exactly what I expected it to be. It didn't steal the show, but it wasn't really meant to. It was honestly more back and forth than I expected. I thought Finn was gonna not get squashed, but it was gonna be like he had more offense in it than I expected. And there was a time or two when I thought, oh, maybe he's gonna squeak out and get the win, and maybe they're just gonna move Cross to the main roster or something. But no, he got the title. He's gonna get the run that they wanted to give him in the first place. So him as NXT champion, to me, it was a no-brainer, and that's the move that it should have been.
No, yeah. I said the same thing. Cross took a lot. Finn got a lot in, and there was a lot of times I was like, whoa, oh, okay.
Yeah.
False finishes like crazy. I was like, I can see it happening. And then Karrion pulled it out. I wasn't mad about it. I like Karrion. I think he's good. Him and Scarlett is money.
Yeah.
I know Vince is seething though. He wants to Take him. I know it.
Yeah. It also brings up a question though. Like, what do you do with Finn Balor now? Like, what's the next? Does he go back to Raw? Does he just chill down there for a while? Like, what do you think
Bro,
happens next?
I was thinking, well, when him and Walter.
Yeah, that would be pretty
Do
good
that. They
too.
could do that feud that they were supposed to do
Mhm.
before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true. It'll answer the he can Finn could be someone that actually slays Walter for that title because it would make sense for him to have it for at least a
Mhm.
little while, and then if there was someone on the UK show that I'm not aware of that's like getting built up to eventually beat Finn, I think that would work out. Yeah, it's funny. That's the two people. I'm like, where do you go from here? You put them together. That seems like that would actually work out pretty well. But you would have to. I don't know how long Walter's here. I don't know if he's going to go back to the UK and then come back. But like that match has to happen on like a takeover. You can't waste it on a UK show because like as much wrestling as I watch, I can't remember the last time I actually watched the UK show. It's just a little too obscure for the free time that I have to watch stuff these days. Nothing against. I'm sure the show's great and the matches are awesome and they're a whole nother vibe than what we're getting over here in the States. So I'm sure it'd be entertaining to watch, but it's not something I get to watch hardly ever.
I feel you, but I can see them doing like at the takeover Devlin. Just have Finn go just chill out there and Devlin be like he recovering from he's pissed off, so he's recovering. And he's like,
Yeah.
hey, fuck it, let's fight Walter.
Yeah, no, if they did a NXT takeover UK
Yeah,
one and just like it could be, a network special or whatever, and you bring a handful of the American guys over there to get eyes on it and then main event it with that could work too.
yeah.
So if you need to bring Finn over there, yeah, that would be cool. So the main event of this whole show, and as in a normal show, it should be the championship match, but Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly was just every bit of tearing guys apart that you would expect. And O'Reilly getting the win was the right call at the end of the day. And I think Adam Cole's going to get a little time off finally because he's really carried that brand for a while with or without the championship. And O'Reilly's going to move into a main event level. He might get a crack at Cross here in a month or so. But this was just good business because if Cole ends up going to Raw or SmackDown, you leave O'Reilly down there as like he almost can take his place as like the top worker in NXT because that's what Adam Cole's been there for a little while. I did miss NXT last week because some people have admitted I completely forgot that this was the week they moved to Tuesday. Luckily, not a lot of people did because they still saw about 100,000 people jump from the week before. Actually, okay, about 50,000. They were 768 the week before, and they jumped up to 805. So, like, people are enjoying the move, and I'm watching it right now. I think you are too. We got it on
Yeah.
at the same time. Normally, we wouldn't stream at the same time as a show like this, but we have a lot to catch up on, and we finally had a day where we could both sit down and do this. So, don't fret. Don't have to choose between us or NXT because you're going to pick NXT, and I wouldn't blame you. We just wanted to get all of our thoughts out so that we can get back on a somewhat normal schedule. But I thought the Cole O'Reilly match was amazing. It was hard hitting. It was brutal. And it's what obviously the whole takeover was centered about. And it was the last match, and as it should have been. And if O'Reilly wasn't a star in the eyes of WWE because he's been a star forever, this proves that they're going to look at him that way moving forward.
Oh yeah. This match was great. If I was to nitpick just a little bit though, I felt like it just took too long. I feel like there's a lot. There's
So
a lot going on.
we were going to stream right after the show ended. It was going to be like 11, and this match went to like 11:40. So it was a little too late. I think we both worked the next day, so like it was a little too late to do that at the time. But yeah, like because I remember when it started, I was like, "There's no way this match is only going to be like 15 minutes," and it
For
definitely was
real,
not
it
because
was not.
it started out like 10:40 something, and it almost went entrances and the after stuff. It almost went a whole nother hour. But there's something to be said about if they could cram this and speed it up into about 20 minutes of it, it might have been a little more impactful. But we've seen this before with like Gargano and Ciampa that like these blood feud matches do drag out a little bit. It's just the way they're kind of centered out in NXT, and I'm used to it now. But yeah, it could have stood to be a little shorter. I'm agreeing with you there for sure.
No, yeah, man. But otherwise, it was hard hitting. They told a great story, and I'm a sucker for when they tell a great story and a great match.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so, So that's why it was a little nitpick. Like
Mhm.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Don't get me wrong, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah, and like I said, it really sets up for things moving forward. And like I said, in a normal week, that would just be a great show to watch for the week and be able to talk about it. But like you said, that was the appetizer because we still had 2 nights of WrestleMania coming on. AEW happened, plenty of things happened there. I will kind of update us here at the end. We had a good TNT Championship match, and the Bucks are full heel now. They hit a big number last week. We'll get to that in a little while. But this was obviously the appetizer for WrestleMania, the 2 nights. The first night we had people over, Don came over and everything, and we sat through the first ever rain delay in the history of professional wrestling, at least on TV. I think there's been like live events that's happened too, but it was so entertaining for all the wrong reasons to see them scramble and just let whoever is nearby cut a promo, and some were better at it than others. We lucked out getting like a Kevin Owens promo that worked out, and the audio equipment even flared up in the middle of of all people. And Drew had one. He was a little more flustered, but his match was supposed to go on, so I understand him being a little flustered. But like we were, for the most part, we were having a good time watching them kind of squirm during this rain delay.
Yeah, man. Big E's promo was great too.
Yes, yeah.
And it just shows you that they could come up with unscripted promos. Like, come on now, Vince. Let's do it.
Yeah,
that was a test.
You made that point while we were watching. It's like maybe this will prove to them that hey, if I let these guys just go out there, like they can get it done. Obviously, you might not trust everybody to do that, but someone like Kevin Owens, we now know we've known it for a long time, but now Vince might know like okay, he can handle himself. But for the most part, the part that was weird is there was a delay, but Michael Cole and Samoa Joe are still just standing out in the open talking about the bad weather. I'm like, then why don't you get out of the bad weather? Why don't you get in the back where they're doing all these promos? But they did make it sound like I don't think even at the start of it, it was meant to be a huge delay. Like I think when they went on air, they still knew when they could start because they didn't while they had to stretch about 30 minutes worth of stuff. I feel like they knew exactly how long it was going to be going into it. Like that part of it did seem to be controlled.
Yeah, it did seem like that way for real.
Yeah, because Michael Cole was a little more comfortable about it, and Joe was just. And then they cut away and they cut back, and they're in a different part, and they're in the ponchos, and I got a good laugh out of that, and we'll get to this later. But what a night for it to be Samoa Joe's last night in the company to just be hanging out with Michael Cole in a poncho, waiting for WrestleMania to start. But it did eventually start. It kicked off with a bang with the WWE Championship match with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, and he ended up retaining the championship, which surprised a lot of us. I mean, I was pretty back and forth. I thought Drew deserved the moment, carrying the company through the pandemic and his entire 2 title reigns. No fan had been in attendance to see, but it was a great match, and he was the first entrance, so he was the first guy to get a real pop in over a year in WWE, and if this was the match we were going to get, I understand why it wasn't last because the heel winning wouldn't have been a good way to send home the first crowd you've had in a while for the first night. But I'm not mad at Bobby winning, but I was surprised when it happened.
Yeah, I was surprised too, and I was like, I think I told you, I was like, I think Drew's gonna win just because they want that winning because he won last year and he did carry that pandemic, like you said. So like. But I was happy. Whoever won, it was okay with me.
Yeah, and it goes to show you didn't have to break up the Hurt Business, the true Hurt Business, for that. Like they could have just not come to ringside, and you could have just. I mean, MVP distracted him a little bit. I actually think that got a little messed up. I don't know if he was supposed to grab his leg and he didn't actually get a chance to, and Drew just kind of stopped and looked at him and then tried to hit the Claymore, missed, and got the Hurt Lock on or whatever. So there was a little hitch in the giddy up there, but I think overall it was good. And for him to pass out instead of tap out, I think made a lot of sense too. You don't want, Drew's going to be the guy for a while, so you don't want him tapping out on a big stage like that. But yeah, Bobby retaining was definitely an interesting way to start. And again, if you're going to start the show like that, you have to end it going home happy, which is why to fast forward to the end of the night, Bianca Belair beating Sasha Banks in what was a great match and deserved every bit of the main event that it got.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that match was amazing, and I loved every single bit of it. I love both of them. Bianca Belair definitely deserved to win, and Sasha Banks deserved that moment.
Yeah, to be champ going into Mania, doing the main event. It's not the first. It's the first one-on-one female match to main event. They of course had to throw in. There's also two people of color of any gender main eventing WrestleMania for the first time, so that's significant. Whether it be that they're females or just that they're wrestlers in general. So I think they drove that point home too to really show you the significance of it. The other match that kind of like stole the attention from me that I knew could be good, but I didn't know how much time they were going to give them was Cesaro and Seth Rollins was just fun. And even though on the grand scheme of things, the match didn't mean much, but when Cesaro won, it felt like a big deal. And I was
Yeah,
happy to see that.
same. That was like a real good feel good moment, and I was really happy for Cesaro.
Yeah. And he did his, airplane spin,
Yeah,
where he lets the guy go and he's still spinning or whatever. And it's like, it's not like, oh, this guy's never won at WrestleMania. Because he's lost matches. He's never even been given this opportunity, which I think is a big distinction. Because obviously he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal
yeah,
at WrestleMania, but that's the closest thing to like a one-on-one match he's had. He's been in tag matches at the WrestleMania I went to. He was part of the Bar still, so yeah, first one-on-one match that he had ever had. And speaking of the Andre Battle Royal, they ended up having that on SmackDown, which, not to fault the other competitors, but you put that tag team turmoil stuff on WrestleMania and you took the Battle Royal off, you could easily switch those. But Jey Uso did win the Battle Royal, and I'm pretty sure I had called that or said that if they are having it, that's who should win. So just to jump back to that SmackDown before, it did make that SmackDown feel like a big deal, I think. So Jey winning the Battle Royal I thought was cool, and it felt like a big deal at the time. Just to jump around to some of the other things, the Shane Braun Strowman was better than expected, but still not good, if I could say that. I mean, Shane just wanted to jump off something high, and they found a way to make that happen. So, good for him. And at least Braun won. I was convinced they were going to do the Braun throws him into the cage, and he falls out of the cage, and Shane wins because, oh, yeah, Braun is actually dumb. Like, I thought that was what the storyline was going to end up being. And, Braun's not my favorite, but he does not deserve that either. So,
hey, can I say this one thing about that match though?
Sure.
When I said this before. I think I said this when I was over there. When Braun threw Shane over, why didn't Braun just climb down?
I don't get that either. I mean, the fact that he even picked him up to power slam him again, I'm like, how was that worse than what you just did to him? You just threw him off, 15, 20 feet, whatever it is, and then you put him up, 6 feet in the air, 7 feet in the air, and power slam him. Yeah, I think you either should have, depending on where Shane was, if he was like on the top rope, he could have dropped an elbow just to get down quicker and pinned him, or climb out of the cage. I agree. It was like a weird, like when he threw him off and then didn't climb out immediately, like, oh shit, he is going to throw him into the cage. Like, there's no other reason why you don't just climb out of the cage, like you said. And that was when I was really convinced that was going to happen. But yeah, the ending was a little awkward. Like, you passed up a great finish for a good one, I guess I would say. But yeah, it was. We both said that. It's like, why don't you just you're there? You're already. I think he's even on the other end of the cage at that point.
Yeah, he's already up, and he's already up already. Like all you had to do is.
So the other thing, we saw the in-ring debut of Amos, however you want to say it, but terrible gear, but good showing, I will say, for Omos. He looked every bit as dominant as he was supposed to be. They kind of did this in a interesting, the way you expect, like, they keep AJ in the ring and they don't let him tag in his big heater, and then and Xavier doing what he always does, like making you laugh in the middle of a match. Kofi's got AJ and he yells to him. He's like, Kofi, we are figuratively cutting the ring in half. And it reminds me of like the Elimination Chamber where he's like, I don't know, he was yelling how good Randy's abs looked or something. Like the dude just finds a way to have fun at times that other, like if someone else tried to do that, they wouldn't get away with it, but he just makes it work. But AJ and Omos getting the win, and AJ, I do like the underlying story here was AJ was basically like, this is the one title I haven't held, and I'm just gonna find this big son of a bitch to help me win the belt I haven't won, and that's good enough for me. And Big the New Day didn't need to win. We've talked about this. They could lose 25 matches in a row. This is going to be one of the most over groups and individuals in the company. I love that Big E came out to do their intro. That got me hype. It actually almost made me think they were winning. I'm like, oh, did they really? Spoiler, because we get to night 2, but bad WrestleMania for
the New Day.
Yeah, not the best.
Not the best one.
So I mean, that's kind of a negative. But no, like this served the purpose, and it got there. And get Omos better ring gear is my closing note on that, I guess.
Looking like Shaq.
The only with that.
Looking like Shaq.
Yeah, but his shirt had buttons.
Yeah.
Like, just give him like an Under Armour like sleeveless shirt or whatever. He can be like, it could be tight and you could see how big he is and everything. But yeah, it looked like a weird like he was either gonna kick your ass or go park your car. Like you couldn't decide which one to do. But the only other thing on that night was the Bad Bunny, Damian Priest against Miz and Morrison. This was kind of interesting because they did the reverse of the AJ match. They kept Bad Bunny in the ring. He was like the worker in this for those guys. And then you build up the tag to Damian Priest. And I'm glad that he got that moment and everything. And everyone is, I will say Big Bad Bunny took this seriously. Apparently he had been training since December for this match, and it paid off, and the guy has some athletic ability. And it sounds great, we don't look at it that way, but then when you take another couple minutes and think this dude was WWE champion like 3 weeks ago, and now he's getting taken to school by, a Bad Bunny. And it was like, I felt happy for him because clearly he's a fan and clearly this is a lifelong dream and clearly he took it seriously because he did actual moves. Yeah. And I even like the ending kind of Road Warrior spot where they do the crossbody instead of the clothesline. Like if I didn't know who Bad Bunny was and he just showed up and they had this match, I'd be like, oh, okay, Damian Priest has a big guy, little guy tag team partner dynamic. So like I'm glad they won. I'm also kind of glad the Bad Bunny stuff, I assume, is over at this point because that's usually, if you ended at Mania, I'm sure he could be back at some point to do something. But, good for him. I could have done without this in a way. I almost would have enjoyed like Damian Priest versus The Miz one-on-one where he just gets a couple spots in to like maybe neutralize Morrison because that guy's athletic enough to take anything that and keep Bad Bunny safe or whatever. But I would have maybe enjoyed that. But I guess getting him in the actual ring, and everyone says, oh, it's the best non-wrestler all the time. I still personally put Pat McAfee ahead of it because it was one-on-one and you couldn't hide any discrepancy that he had going. And we will talk about him later, but like I would have liked to see him get this sort of spot, and maybe he will down the line, maybe SummerSlam or something. But overall, good for Bad Bunny, and it was entertaining, and we did enjoy it for what it was. So I guess that was the point.
It was a good match. It was a really good match. The moves that Bad Bunny was doing was spot on. Spot on.
So we jump into night 2, and at this point, me personally, all right, I didn't have anybody over for the second night. I just kind of hung out and watched it. Starting with Randy Orton and The Fiend. The Fiend entrance was awesome with the Jack in the Box, or if you're Michael Cole, a box-like structure, which he called it for some stupid reason. But how, The Fiend is walking all burnt, and then when he pops out of the Jack in the Box, he's no longer burnt, dives off the top, and this seemed, I watched a little bit of Raw to try and figure it out. I still don't know what the ending of this match was supposed to mean. Like Alexa Bliss just comes up looking weird. The Fiend stares at her, eats one RKO, and loses. Like, this is a dude that's been set on fire, but he loses to one RKO. It's the second time at WrestleMania that I've sat there and been like, why did Randy Orton beat Bray? I was there live for the first one in 33, and that one was for the title. I don't know which one is worse because I don't know where the Fiend goes from here, personally. For the audio listeners, Don's just throwing his hands up, and like, there's not much more to say about this. Like I said, entrance was great. Orton rocking white gear for some reason. I don't know why that caught my eye, but like, I don't think he's ever really done that before. But I mean, good for Orton, I guess. I need to know what's going to happen here with the Fiend. They had the tag team turmoil on night one. The winners, which was Natalia and was it not Naomi, but what's her name? How do you say it? Tamina. They won the match, which for some reason this crowd was really hot for Tamina for a hot minute there, and I would have been cool with them winning because it's like the two female wrestlers that have the lineage from like their dads or their uncles or whatever, and like I hope they stay a team and they win the belts at some point. But it was a good little moment. I guess this was better than the turmoil match, honestly. If they would have done turmoil on SmackDown or Raw and say, "Oh, that's why this match is happening," and you give it to me early on one of these nights, like that would have been cool with me. I think the turmoil match like didn't really need to happen on the main show. But it was okay, and Nia Jackson, Baszler retain, and I don't think that match is over, or that feud is really over yet either, from what I'm seeing now. You got. Next is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was good and could have been great, but you had to throw Logan Paul in it for no reason. And I've seen enough of either Paul on my TV and my Twitter feed this past week, and both of them are just, you don't understand why they're in the positions that they're in. But who'd have thought that you finally get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and you have to shoehorn in Logan Paul because for some reason that match isn't good enough. Don don't got much to say right now.
For real, the match was built already. He did not need to throw him in there.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him to be in there at all. He should have. They just did that for a star moment. That's it.
They should have just let this match happen. They should have. If Logan Paul wanted to be there, they could have put him in the front row, and at some point, like, Sammy could have got in his face and he could have like shoved him, and like you would have got the same moment. I will backtrack a little bit. I did enjoy seeing Logan Paul get stunned after the match. So if that was, I don't know if it was worth it, but at least gave me something.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, he took the stunner so bad.
He did, but it was. I've never seen someone take it that way, good or bad. Like he tried to hit the ground with his feet still on the ground. Is the best way I would put it. He felt like when you watch Toy Story and it's like Andy's coming and Woody just kind of like that's what he felt to me. That's what it reminded me of. But that was a good moment. That wasn't worth ruining Owens and Zayn at Mania though for me.
Yeah.
A match I didn't think I was gonna care that much for. Sheamus for the U.S. title. Sheamus won. Good for him. I love the finish. I love the backflip moonsault, and he just gets bro kicked while he's upside down. Busts him open, and like obviously Riddle's sort of a comedy character, and Sheamus was like, I ain't taking this shit anymore. Kicks him in the face. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Takes the belt. I felt happy for Sheamus for the first time in forever. This was fun. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it was a great match, man. It was a real good match, and I love them. I love the finish as well. It reminded me of a lot of Shawn versus
Benjamin. Yeah, it's true. It was like a modern version of that. And this is like when Sheamus goes in the Hall of Fame someday, which he undoubtedly will. This is going to be one of those. Oh yeah, he did do that. This guy did have a hell of a career. Like that's kind of how he's going to be remembered for me. I'm glad he got. I don't know that he's truly had a WrestleMania moment before now. So like, if this is it, he deserved it. He's been there long enough. The match that I wanted to enjoy but couldn't was the Nigerian drum fight for the. I'll be honest, I barely watched this. Once I saw that there was literally just drums around the ring and kendo stick. So I got to tell this quick story. I'll be quick about it because we have a lot to talk about. I listen to the same like sports radio show every morning on 96.9 The Game. It's got Mark Daniels, the voice of UCF. He just has his like morning sports show. And the Friday before WrestleMania, they had Big E on because he's from Tampa. He's a local guy. WrestleMania's in Tampa. It made sense. So they're talking to him about, WrestleMania being back. What do you think about crowds or whatever? And, Mark actually did his research and he's like, can you tell me what a Nigerian drum fight is? And this is the Friday before WrestleMania. Big E goes, I don't know. I have no idea. So 2 days before, they still had no freaking clue what this match was going to be. And it showed.
It was just it was like a kendo match.
You should have just called it like a Nigerian street fight or an alley or like the drum fight makes me think we're playing like Guitar Hero or something. Like, I don't know. This was dumb. Good for Apollo to win it. And like Dabakato was the difference maker, which, I mean, begs the question if he could show up, where was the New Day and all this? But this was the low point of WrestleMania, I would say. What about you? Like, I don't mean to be that harsh on it, but like from beginning to middle end of this match, I can't tell you a single thing about it. I'm totally blanking on if anything cool happened in this match.
It was all right.
But I gotta call it the low point, which I like both the guys too. And it doesn't help that they've faced each other like 3 other pay-per-views either. That doesn't help this situation either.
It really doesn't. And I just hope that this means something big is gonna happen for Big E.
Yes, I hope that does mean it's similar to what we saw with Lashley, where he lost his mid-card title, but it's actually because they wanted to put him in the main event scene. So hopefully that's what happens with him too. That would be the only good that comes out of this. And if Apollo as IC champion gets some like cool feuds out of it, then it might be worth it. It's gonna come out of the ashes that was this match, because this was the low point. Which out of the two, I would have thought Sheamus and Riddle might have been that, but no, they definitely flipped the script on this. Rhea Ripley beat Asuka for the Raw Women's title, which was it was good. It would have been more impactful. Like the Bianca Sasha match, obviously, is better. But this worked out well in the semi-main because it still felt like a big deal right before the main event.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good match in my opinion. It didn't get to that gear that I really wanted it to be, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it.
And then we get to the main event, the triple threat match: Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan, of course. And this was cool. I didn't really know who was gonna win throughout. Like there was, and a good triple threat match does that. You have to truly think that each individual guy is going to win at different times, and this did that. I do think actually I was in the middle of I was watching this, and I think it was you. I was texting a few people, but someone finally asked, like, who do you think should win? I'm like, I don't know who I want, but I do think Roman winning is the right call. And when he did win, I'm like, yeah, that was the right call. Like, I know it didn't send the fans home happy, quote unquote, but like they turned Roman heel for the crowd to finally boo him for the right reasons. And I don't think they were going to pass up the opportunity for the crowd to actually boo him for the right reasons.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I enjoyed every bit of this match. This match was great, bro. I love the spot between the Yes Lock with both guys holding on to with Edge and Daniel Bryan doing it to Roman.
Yeah,
that visual was great.
What'd you think of the double pin?
Oh, spot on, bro. My only gripe. Well, actually, no, it's not even a gripe because I know what you're talking about. Some people were like, "Oh, Edge won because he was on Daniel Bryan." But if you look at the tape, Edge also had his shoulders down on the mat as well.
Yeah, he made sure to like go all the way over him. Like I actually saw the moment where he like scooted over an extra foot to make sure that happened. And I would have been, I'm fine with it. I thought it was cool. It's a great visual. Like that's one of those like we've seen like Braun Strowman stack up like jobbers and shit like that. We've never seen a stack pin with main event talent. Like that's where like holy shit, like that was great. The thing that like they kind of played into it though. Like I don't know if you've seen on like Twitter. I forget the referee was like he like retweeted somebody saying that Edge won. He's like, oh, that's an interesting take. And then Adam Pearce goes, I forget which referee it was, but he was like, such and such, when you get to work on Friday, come see me in my office. Like, they kind of leaned into it a little bit, and then, like, I watched SmackDown. I don't think they really said anything about it, but they played it up on Twitter for a minute, so, I mean, maybe they were just toying with the idea of it, but this was great. I don't know. It was a good Mania. It wasn't an all-time great Mania. I give it a B, I guess. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I give it a B plus.
Okay,
It
you're more
was
forgiving than me, I guess.
it was good. Night one was definitely better than night two. Just like NXT, night one was better than night two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of wrestling, but I enjoyed it.
Speaking of a lot of wrestling, now that we've been through it for 2 years now, and this is really the true one. Are you in or out on the 2-night Manias?
I'm all for it.
Are you?
Yeah. If it's gonna huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'd rather this than long ass pay per view.
They've gotten so good at, they start their shows earlier and they've been ending at like 10 or whatever. Like, I think I'll take, if Mania is the only one that's long as shit, like, I'm cool with that. But if you start Mania at 7 and let it go to 11, that's still what, like 4 hours or whatever. Like, if they can, with the pre-show even, start at 6 or whatever. I don't know. I also, we weren't there, but like, imagine like you can only go the one day, and like you don't always know until they didn't know till the week of like what matches were going to be on what day. So like when we were sitting at the house on Saturday, like, oh, I wish this match was tonight so that with everybody here we could watch this match instead of that match. And then you're like picking and choosing. It definitely has its pluses. I don't know if they're gonna, Wrestle Kingdom's done this forever and it's worked for them. But usually they have a lot more matches from night one play into night two, and they only had one of these here. They had the turmoil match or whatever. It's not the worst thing in the world or anything, but like now that I've seen it twice in a way, I think I like the one night for Mania. But if obviously this is the only pay-per-view they're going to do, like they're not going to do this with SummerSlam. They're not going to do this with the Royal Rumble, which that might be the one I'd be. Actually, I don't know, because that's the biggest party I have is the Rumble. So, but if WrestleMania is the only one, I guess I'm okay with it. But I think if I was in charge, if someone gave me the pencil, if you will, I think I like the one night Manias personally. But it is cool and it does make it different. No one else on this side of the world is doing the 2-night pay-per-views. So, if you order it the old-fashioned way, I assume you order the one price and get both nights, right? Like if you order off cable?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I hope so, because that would be some bullshit. If you had to pay $60 for what? Yeah, that would. Yeah, that I assume they do right by you with that.
If anyone is paying for that shit, they tripping.
Yeah, if they're paying the traditional way. We'll say this: watch it on Peacock. You could pause. I don't. You couldn't rewind, but I early in the night I tested out the pause. Streamwise, there wasn't a single like glitch or anything, so they clearly had the bandwidth to handle this. Because that would have been, that would have been a train wreck if the first big show with fans. But as far as the streaming aspect on Peacock, to me it worked. It worked fine.
It worked great on my end too.
So, WrestleMania was then followed up by the worst post-Mania Raw of the modern era. Nothing important happened. Charlotte came back, which we knew because she was only gone because of a couple things, but it had nothing to do with like she could have been on Mania if different precautions were taken. And then the Viking Raiders came back, I guess, is the other big surprise. So there's not much else to say on that night. But then the next day, WWE follows up with a plethora of releases, which this is almost to the day like it happened last year, which this tends to happen yearly, but I don't know. We thought they kind of purged everything, and other than people asking for the releases, they're making money hand over fist now without a single person in the audience. So I really didn't expect another, mass firing, if you will. Mickey James, Billy Kay, Tucker, Kalisto, Chelsea Green, Wesley Blake, Samoa Joe, Bo Dallas, and even Mojo Rawley fell victim to the axe. Who were you? Samoa Joe's got to be the most surprising on that list, right?
Most surprising. Number one.
I mean, unless it's because he wants to get in the ring. So I heard WWE won't clear him But I don't know. Does that mean he wants to get back in the ring? Because there's not a promotion on God's green earth that wouldn't take Samoa Joe right now.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What?
I was a little surprised by Mojo because I thought he was going to be like Titus O'Neil. He was just a dude that was going to be there and do like the charity stuff that he does. And Bo Dallas was you would have thought he got released years ago, but he's just been sitting there. There's even he's a Tampa resident and he's actually starting like a real estate company. So he's been preparing for life after wrestling for a while. And Bo, if you're listening, I am house shopping right now, so I might give you a call when your business is up. But he's the number one. Like there's people you want to see, like Wesley Blake, for example, is actually a really talented dude. If he went to like Impact or Ring of Honor, I think people would be surprised. Him and Buddy Murphy are somewhat on the same talent level. Murphy was just a better, wrestling look guy. So like someone like Wesley Blake, if he went somewhere, I think he could do well. Bo Dallas is the dude I want to see in NWA. Because he's got the wrestling lineage of his dad and everything, and he can go back to being Bo Rotundo, and I think he would fit perfectly in NWA. So if anyone in this list, like if I could pick and choose where he goes, it'd be there. Kalisto, I would say AEW. That wouldn't surprise me too, because they had their act with the Lucha House Party, and I just assumed like that's where he was going to be for a while. So maybe he wanted to go back to because he's from the West. He's not from Mexico, but he's from like the West Coast. So like I don't know how many of these were guys wanting releases and got them, or just got the phone call.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think everyone's gonna be going to like AEW. Like, there's a lot of people that's like speculating, like, oh, this person's going to AEW, that person's going to AEW. The roster is already stacked. As I tell you this every single time.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get anybody. They get Joe, but they got to have big plans to bring in Joe.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Bo Dallas to me is NWA. Mojo could find some places that Mickey James, she's married to Nick Aldis. She's going to probably go hang around that area some more. Chelsea Green could easily go back to Impact because she's been champion there before, and obviously Matt Cardona's there. I don't remember if they're married or not, but they've been together a long time.
Yeah, I think they got engaged.
Right. So that makes the most sense for them. But yeah, guys like Tucker, like, I don't know, might just be the indie route for a while, like just shows here and there. And then, yeah, like Wesley Blake could show up in a few places, but definitely surprising. You hope that, some of these guys did that. And we've seen with the past mass firings that a lot of these people not only land on their feet, but like end up in better positions than they were when they got released. So like, you hope everybody has that situation and like they land on their feet, and this ends up being a good thing for them. Cause like, you might not like a performer. You might not be the biggest Tucker fan in the world, or like Billy Kay never did it much for me, but like, you never want to see somebody lose their job. So like the fact that they did, let's hope they end up in a promotion, or even if for some of these people, if they're no longer in the business, they land on their feet doing something else. So like, hopefully that's the case for these 10 people.
Yeah, for real, man. The one that really hurt me the most, like, is of course Samoa Joe, of course, but the Iconics in general, like both of them.
Yeah, you would think they would have put them back together before releasing them. Give them one more run at it to get over.
They was great together, bro. Mm-hmm. It was great. Like, it's like when they had that moment at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was no fans there. That just sucks, yo. Mm-hmm. That was a great moment.
Well, it's like even like the Edge and Christian moment at the Rumble. Everyone thought, oh, maybe they'll team, leading up to Mania against like Roman and Jay or something. Then like, nope, didn't even just let him walk right out the door. And,
right out of there.
So like, I'm sure like if they would have told Christian like, hey, like we got plans, like that's where he'd be right now. But he's doing good in AEW at the moment. The WWE news did not stop for the week there. Everybody knows I'm a big Pat McAfee fan. I listen to his show, most days, and I've just been a fan of everything that he does. Earlier in he was at WrestleMania, I think, just hanging out. Really, I was hoping he was going to get involved in something or do, but he never. He posted a video of him like kicking field goals again, and someone started to tweet the hashtag Pat's up to something. And he's on a show, and someone's like, "Oh, you're you're coming out of retirement, you're going to go kick for the Bucks and you're going to win a ring. He's like, no, it's nothing like that, but I am up to something. So there was speculation all week of Pat's up to something. Who knows what it was? And then Friday morning, around like 10 or 11 o'clock, the news broke that Pat McAfee joins the SmackDown announce team with Michael Cole. And that, not everybody loves Michael Cole, but the pairing of Pat and Michael, I think, is going to be amazing.
Yes, bro. Bro, I loved him on Friday, bro.
Yeah.
He was great. He sounds so natural on there. And I love the fact that he was standing up and shit. He looks like he really cares, that he really wants to carry it out there.
Apparently they ribbed him about, like, he thought they should stand up coming out of a break because he's used to that, doing like these college football bits that he's done and stuff.
Yeah.
But the part that got me, and like I knew he was gonna bring like an energy that wasn't there, prior or whatever. But they were going to a commercial, and Cole was like, "Oh, when we come back, we're getting wrestler A versus wrestler B." And right before it fades to commercial, Pat turns and goes, "Oh, we are? Okay, let's go." Like, what you would do if you were just happy to be where you were. It did not matter what that match was. He's like, "Oh, is that really what's happening? All right, let's go." I didn't read these notes. I don't know where we're going with this. And like, he seemed really comfortable, and he's only going to get more comfortable, which is going to be great. And I love that it's a 2-man booth again. Like, some 3-man booths work fine. Like, AEW's made it work, and when Corey Graves and Cole and like Booker T, like that works sometimes. But like, I like the idea of just the 2 people again. Like, we have not had that on the WWE stream in a long time. Not even NXT does it much anymore.
Well, it was Corey Graves and Michael Cole before.
Yeah, but they always have like Todd Phillips would jump in.
Yeah.
Whoever would jump in. Like,
that is true.
I like when there is only 2, but it doesn't happen as often as it should anymore.
As it should, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
So it appears for SmackDown, it's gonna be the Pat and Mike show, and like I watched all of SmackDown to see how Pat did, and now I'm even more inclined to watch it. Like, he's literally someone I did not look at the ratings for this past SmackDown, but like, other than the fact that it was post Mania, like, I'm sure it went up. Like, he's bringing in an audience, and I hope that he eventually, he's sitting at that booth. Eventually, someone's going to get in his face, and he'll get a match on SmackDown in front of people down the line, because he proved in NXT that he could, that he deserves that. And I did find it funny that Michael Cole, when he introduces him, he's like, "Oh, the host of the Pat McAfee show and former NXT superstar." It's like, he had 2 matches. Like, you don't get to call him, like, I don't know. Like, clearly he's wrestled, but like, they just had to throw in there that he has, in fact, like, if you're someone that doesn't watch NXT and just watches the main stuff, you're just like, "Oh, another NXT guy, I guess." It's like, no, he's not like the other guys.
Yeah.
So what else can we jump to here? A little bit to round out here. I think we finally caught up on all the pay-per-view stuff, which is nice. Some AEW stuff, they benefited, as we mentioned. NXT had benefited from jumping to Tuesdays and running unopposed, and they had a little rating spike. AEW had a very big rating spike, hitting the second highest number they've had in their run on television, 1.2 million people. Mike Tyson was there. It was a good show. They had a really good TNT championship match, which was Matt Hardy and Darby Allin, Falls Count Anywhere, that ended up being really good. I'm going to let Don get set again. No big deal. But the TNT championship match was great on Dynamite, and it just ended up being a good show. And I don't know, like, I'd be remiss to say, like, oh, they're going to break 1 million every week or whatever, but like, it's good to see that they can get this. And I think it proves what we've been saying for weeks, that with the shows on separate nights, it's just going to benefit both of them.
Oh yeah, I think so for sure, man. That was impressive. That was really impressive, and I knew it was going to happen, actually, just because it was going unopposed, and they had a stacked show already called out from previous weeks, so I knew it was going to happen.
And NXT, like I said, it had the jump. It's on right now. I'm interested to see what their rating is tomorrow, because it seems like it's been a nice show. We've just been glancing over here at the time. I want to end on this. We're going to end with some Impact news here. Saturday, Impact Rebellion, we finally get the title versus title match. Kenny Omega, Rich Swann World Championship, and the AEW World Championship are both on the line. There's no doubt that Kenny Omega is going to win this. I'll say this, there has to be a clear-cut winner, Because if you expect someone to buy your pay-per-view and someone does not walk out with both belts, you're going to piss off anyone that ordered that show. I mean, it would be pretty funny if Rich Swann stole one and wins their title for a little while. But clearly, I think Kenny's going to, win this and add to his belt collector thing. You'll have the AEW World title, the AAA, the Mexico Championship, and then you'll have this, and you'll really build up to that. And then David Finlay and Juice Robinson, the tag team champions, they beat the Good Brothers for those Impact titles a little bit. I assume they're about to go back to Japan, and they're going to drop the belts back to the Good Brothers on this show. So when Dynamite rolls back around, Kenny's going to be in all his gold. The Good Brothers are going to have their gold, and then the Young Bucks are still tag team champions. So that's going to make for an interesting visual when this all goes down. But I'm looking forward to this match. I can't remember the last time there's been we had the Rich Swann Moose match with the TNA Championship and the Impact title, which was, kind of legit, kind of not. It's been a long time since we've seen a true title for title match, so I'm actually pretty pumped for this.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to see this too. I like both of them. I really like Rich Swann a lot because I was a fan of him. I was a fan of him since WWE.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I didn't really expect him to be a guy that you put your world title on and have run your company. He's proven me wrong because he's done a fantastic job doing it here. And there's some other good stuff on this show. I haven't truly been following all the storylines, but Matt Cardona versus Brian Myers, they're finally doing it. Just Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, one-on-one. Don't think that's ever happened anywhere else. The NXT Championship, the X Division Championship, Ace Austin against Josh Alexander, who used to be All Ego, Ethan Page's partner, and TJP. Y'all remember TJP, right? Cruiserweight champion. So that'll be a good triple threat match. So there's some good stuff on the show. There's also a big Eric Young's crew against Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack. And I don't know if I sent you the clip or not, but the week before this, Don Callis is talking to Willie Mack. He's just sitting at a table, and then Rich Swann walks in, and they start arguing. And Willie Mack hasn't said a word in the whole segment, and Don Callis takes off his glasses and puts them on the table, and Willie Mack just shoots him and goes, "He took his shades off!" And then they all start fighting. I don't know, Willie Mack is just hilarious to me. He's in another world, he's the unofficial fourth member of the New Day. The dude's just hilarious. So no, this should be in a week that we don't have wrestling every day of the week. If you got some free time and you check out this show, Impact Wrestling Rebellion, I think it's going to be some good matches on this, and it'll culminate with that title versus title. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're right under the hour mark, and I think we did it. I think we caught up with everything.
Yay!
So again, our bad guys. It kind of got the best of us, and then our schedules did not line up to really get anything in here. But throw us some comments later. When you watch this on the replay on stuff you want us to talk about moving forward. Obviously, we'll have to see how this double championship match works out, and more AEW NXT news and Pat McAfee on SmackDown makes me want to watch SmackDown. I basically going to watch everything but Raw now because I've not been impressed, even post WrestleMania. So I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. This has been the Wrestle Report, episode 25. We've done 25 of these already. Isn't that crazy?
Jeez.
And we've even
We've
even taken those little breaks that we never planned on doing, and we still hit 25. So we appreciate the run that we've been on so far, guys. And here's to 25 more. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Yes, sir.